Welcome to this dramatic therapy monologue. Listen to this meditation with an open mind and heart. In between each part, focus on your breath. Start now by inhaling deeply through your nose and slowly exhaling through your mouth. Then gently turn your attention to the natural rhythms of your breath. All right, I will begin honestly, because I think there is really no other way. I have always believed I was supposed to be the one in control, not just of myself, but of, well, everything. I remember as a child, arranging my dolls in strict rows, like they were attending a very well-behaved tea party. But underneath the table, my legs fidgeted, always anxious, always wanting every little scene to go exactly right. If mother came in and moved a doll, or my brother sneaked off with one, I would freeze. That tiny chaos. It felt like disaster, but nobody else seemed to notice the disaster but me. I would wait until everyone left the room, then I would start over. Line up the dolls again. Make the tiny tea. Pour and pour until everything seemed perfect, as if perfection itself would keep the world together. I carried this into school, into friendships, into every play and every test and every gathering. A director, quietly beneath the surface, arranging things so that nobody, not even me, would know if something was terribly wrong underneath. And usually there was. Breathe again. Watch where your mind wanders. I ask myself now, who was I trying to save by arranging all the pieces just so? Whose life was I running, if not my own? I walked through life tripping on invisible wires, believing if I only tried harder, if everyone would just do what made sense, my sense, then no one would be hurt, no one would ever leave, nothing would shatter. It is exhausting, is it not? I convinced myself it was kindness, that all this effort was for everyone else. I am patient, I thought. I am generous. I would give to people, but always so they would stay or smile or give something back. Maybe I was self-sacrificing, maybe. But sometimes I was sharp, I was furious when things spun out of my hands. The truth is I could be selfish, deceitful, so quickly hurt that I lashed out. Then guilty, then determined again to try even harder next time. I learned to become virtuous. On the surface, smiling, nodding, pretending to be composed while my heart raced. Underneath, still clinging so tightly to the script I had written in my mind. If only they would play their parts. If only life would stay in line. Each time the show fell apart, I tried again. Oddly, it never got any easier. Take a breath. Feel the air move in. The crisis began properly in my 20s. Though you could argue it was always there, waiting. One spring, when I was supposed to be happiest. New job, a flat with blue walls, friends that texted me memes at midnight. I found that I was bracing all the time, held so tight against the world that I barely noticed I no longer slept. People started to drift, or disappoint me, or both. And I blamed them. Of course I did. I needed more control, not less. I became demanding, then apologetic, then furious, then soft. The play never matched the script. I told myself I was just unlucky, that I had simply not tried hard enough to arrange the players, the lights, the music, that if I just found the exact right thing to say, the right thing to fix, then everything and everyone would fall into place. Of course, inside I was screaming. It felt like a quiet, private collapse. I could not say out loud. I do not know how to stop trying to run everything. I do not know how to let go of the stage. I am terrified that without my interventions, nobody will love me or choose me or even notice I have left the room. I became a ghost at my own tea party. Pause and breathe deeply. My real crisis came the night when, after a catastrophic argument with my closest friend, the kind where you both leave fragments of yourselves behind, I sat in my empty bedroom, surrounded by unfinished lists, half-folded clothes, the phone buzzing in another room that I ignored. I saw it so sharply. Me, trying to arrange the lights, the scenery, the other players, rewriting the show's ending until I was entirely alone backstage. I was the actor, the director, the exhausted tech crew. All control, no audience. I realized something that for a moment felt worse than death. That all my striving, all my plans had become cages, not keys. That I was burning with resentment because I was failing to convert the world into my design. And underneath, embarrassment. Was it all self-seeking in disguise? Was it an attempt to drag happiness out of the world by force, thinking if only I managed well enough, I could earn contentment? I saw myself not as heroic or victim, but as, well, self-obsessed, self-centered. And every time I believed I was doing it for others, I was in fact orchestrating for applause, or at least for safety. Oh, and it gets worse before it gets better. Because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. You notice all the little micro-manipulations, dropped hints, sulks, soft controlling gestures, and how exhausted they leave you. You see how others are reacting too, how they step closer or further, or retaliate just as you have done. You recognize 100 shapes of fear and self-delusion. You see the pattern repeat itself in friendships and lovers and family. The world keeps slipping from your grasp, and you keep trying to grip it tighter. The end result is bitterness, confusion, and, well, loneliness. No amount of self-pity, indignation, or blaming could keep me from the truth. I was not a harmonious director. I was a conductor of discord, even in my best moments. Breathe, feel your heart, even if it aches. It was then, in the hollow of that recognition, on the floor, with nobody left to perform for, that I stopped. Not perform stopping, really stopped. For the first time, I let life move forward without my hands shaping it. I was so tired enough to try something radical. I allowed myself to notice what was really happening, to see where I was pushing and where it led me. I did not suddenly become generous or humble or wise. Instead, I became open to being wrong, open to the world surprising me. I started letting go, a little, and the relief was enormous, like waking up from a long, strange dream. Slowly things changed. I started to tell the truth about my flaws, admitted my tendency to orchestrate and arrange and manipulate, relinquished the fantasy that I could ever control everyone or anyone. I apologized properly. I allowed friendships to be messy. I began to feel that life was not something I could run or even organize. I could only participate. I could only invite others in, equally. Above all, I started to believe that my happiness was not something to be squeezed from the world by cunning or effort, but something that arrived when I stopped striving so desperately. It was freedom, actually, to accept that my efforts to run the show had been the root of my troubles all along. To laugh sometimes at how ridiculous it is to think you can arrange every scene in your life. I became less frightened of chaos and more willing to trust. So here is my soft, trembling truth. My troubles, I think, were always mostly of my own making. They arose from this deep need to be safe, to orchestrate, to force meaning onto life. But I have learned I'm learning by grace and therapy and the persistent disappointments of adulthood that above everything else I must be rid of this selfishness. Not by force, not by will, but by slowly letting go, again and again. Inhaling, exhaling, keep breathing. My part now is to play in the world, not to direct it. To forgive myself when I return, as I always will, to old patterns. To feel joy when I catch myself loosening my grip, laughing with people, letting the moment be as it is. To allow the world to move, uncontrolled, unwritten by me. Sometimes happiness simply appears when I step off the stage and share it with the other players, when I stop demanding and start listening. So welcome again to this moment. If you feel the urge to arrange life into neat rows, if you are exhausted from running the show, know that you are not alone. Know that stepping back is not failure, but astonishing grace. When you put down the script and breathe, you might find, as I did, that the show becomes 1,000 times more beautiful. Not perfect, but true, and utterly, overwhelmingly alive.